The red alarm lights flashed across the bridge of New Geneva Station as Ambassador Helen Martinez rushed to her office. Her coffee spilled on the metal floor as she ran, but she didn't care. The emergency call from the Galactic Council came in just 5 minutes ago, and it sounded bad. Really bad. Helen sat down at her desk and pressed the blue button to answer the call. The screen showed 3 alien faces she knew well. Commander Zix of the Zephyrians looked nervous, which was strange, because his people never showed fear. His blue skin was darker than usual, and his 4 eyes kept blinking in different patterns. Next to him sat General Korth from the Corvan Empire. The big alien's red armor had deep scratches on it, and his tusks were chipped. The third face belonged to Elder Nim from the Crystalline Collective. Her crystal body was glowing orange instead of the usual calm blue. Ambassador Martinez, Commander Zix spoke first. His voice was shaky. "We need human help. The situation is very bad." Helen leaned forward. "What happened? Your message said something about a Vorthak?" General Korth made a growling sound. "Not just any Vorthak. The biggest one we have ever seen. It escaped from our research station on Kepler 7 3 days ago." Helen felt her heart beat faster. She had read about Vorthaks in the military files. They were huge creatures that looked like giant wolves mixed with dragons. They stood 12 feet tall and had thick armor covering their bodies. Their claws could cut through metal, and their teeth were as long as her arm. For hundreds of years, different alien races had tried to use them as war animals. None had succeeded. "How did it escape?" Helen asked. Elder Nim's crystal body flashed red. "Our scientists were using new mind control devices. The Vorthak broke free and destroyed the entire lab. 23 researchers are dead. The creature then stole a small ship and flew away." Commander Zix pulled up a star map on his screen. "It has been attacking cargo ships near the mining colonies. 17 ships destroyed so far. The crews barely escaped with their lives." Helen looked at the map. The red dots showed where the attacks happened. They formed a pattern around the asteroid belt near Kepler Prime. "What do you want humans to do? We don't have experience with Vorthaks." General Korth laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Nobody has experience with them. That's the problem. My people tried to train them with pain and fear. We built electric cages and used shock weapons. The creatures just got angrier and stronger." "The Zephyrians used brain chips," Elder Nim added. "They tried to control their thoughts directly, but Vorthak minds are too complex. The chips either failed or drove the creatures insane." "Commander." Zix nodded sadly. "My people spent 50 years on this project. We lost hundreds of scientists and soldiers. In the end, we learned that Vorthaks cannot be controlled by technology. The Crystalline Collective tried mind-linking," Elder Nim continued. "We thought we could speak to them directly through telepathy, but their thoughts are full of rage and pain. Several of our telepaths are still recovering from the mental damage." Helen sat back in her chair. "So you want humans to try because everyone else failed?" "The Galactic Council is offering a huge reward," General Korth said. "Enough money to buy a small planet. But more importantly, if this creature is not stopped, it will destroy more ships. Innocent people will die." Helen thought about this. Humans had been part of the galactic community for only 20 years. They were still the new kids compared to races that had been traveling space for thousands of years. Most aliens thought humans were weak because they didn't have the best technology or the strongest weapons. "We will discuss this with our people," Helen said. "But I have to ask, why do you think humans might succeed where everyone else failed?" The 3 aliens looked at each other. Commander Zix spoke first. "Humans are different. You solve problems in ways we don't understand. Sometimes you succeed by not trying to win." Before Helen could ask what that meant, the call ended. She sat alone in her office, thinking about the conversation. A rogue Vorthak was loose in space, destroying ships and killing people. The best minds in the galaxy couldn't stop it. Now they wanted humans to try. Helen walked to the window and looked out at the stars. New Geneva Station was home to about 3,000 humans. Most of them were diplomats, traders, or scientists. They weren't soldiers or monster hunters. But maybe that was exactly what made them different. She pressed another button on her desk. Get me Captain Jake Sullivan." A few minutes later, Captain Sullivan walked into her office. He was a tall man with brown hair and kind eyes. He wore the blue uniform of the Human Exploration Service. Behind him walked a small girl with blonde hair tied in pigtails. She carried a stuffed animal that looked like a dog. "You wanted to see me, Ambassador?" Jake asked. "Yes, but I didn't expect you to bring Lucy." Helen smiled at the 8-year-old. "Carol." Lucy grinned back. "Dad said we were going to see aliens today. Are we going to meet some?" Jake looked embarrassed. "Sorry, Helen, Lucy's teacher is sick and I couldn't find a babysitter." "It's okay," Helen said. "Actually, this might work out better than I thought." She told Jake about the call from the Galactic Council. She explained about the Vorthak and all the failed attempts to control it. Jake listened carefully. When Helen finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "So they want us to catch a giant space monster that has killed dozens of people and destroyed 17 ships? The Council is desperate," Helen said. "They're offering more money than we've ever seen." Lucy looked up from her stuffed dog. "What does the monster look like?" Helen pulled up a picture on her computer. It showed a huge creature with dark fur, glowing red eyes, and massive claws. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth and armor plates covered its back and sides. Lucy studied the picture. "He looks like a really big dog, but sadder." Jake and Helen looked at each other. "Sadder?" Jake asked. "Yeah," Lucy said. "Like Thunder when he got lost in the woods. Remember, Dad? He was scared and growling at everyone, but he just wanted to come home." Helen stared at the little girl. Thunder was the family dog back on Earth. Helen remembered Jake telling her about how the dog got lost during a storm. When they found him 3 days later, he was aggressive and wouldn't let anyone near him. But Jake's wife had sat down and waited patiently until Thunder calmed down and came to her. "You think the Vorthak is scared?" Helen asked Lucy. Lucy nodded. "All the aliens tried to hurt him or control his brain. That would make anyone mean and scared." Jake was looking at the picture again. "You know, she might be right. Look at this." He pointed to the creature's posture. "It's not hunting, it's defending itself." Helen realized something important. Every report she had read described the Vorthak as a monster or a weapon. Nobody had considered that it might be a frightened animal acting on instinct. "Jake," she said slowly, "would you be willing to try something different?" Captain Sullivan looked at his daughter, who was hugging her stuffed dog and staring at the picture of the Vorthak with sad eyes. "What did you have in mind?" "Take your ship and find this creature, but don't go in with weapons or cages or control devices. Go in with an open mind and see what happens." Jake was quiet for a long time. Finally, he nodded. "When do we leave?" Helen smiled. "As soon as you can get your crew together. But Jake, the Council specifically said this mission is extremely dangerous." Lucy looked up at her father. "Dad, can I come too? I want to help the sad space dog." Jake started to say no, but then he stopped. He looked at Helen, then back at his daughter. "Maybe," he said slowly. "That's exactly what we need." 2 hours later, Captain Jake Sullivan stood in the docking bay of New Geneva Station next to his ship, the Aurora. The ship was not big or fancy like the military vessels that other species used. It was built for exploration, not fighting. The Aurora had comfortable living spaces, a good kitchen, and large windows for watching the stars. Most importantly, it did not look scary or threatening. Jake's crew was getting ready for the mission. Maria Santos checked the engines one more time. She was the best pilot Jake had ever worked with. Her small hands moved quickly over the control panels, making sure everything worked perfectly. She had been flying ships since she was 16, and Jake trusted her with his life. Dr. Peter Collins loaded his equipment into the science lab. Peter studied alien animals for a living. He had gentle hands and a quiet voice that seemed to calm even the most nervous creatures. His bags were full of medical tools, cameras, and food samples from different worlds. Peter believed that understanding an animal was more important than controlling it. Ryan Hayes finished checking the ship's defenses. He was the security chief, but his job was to keep the crew safe, not to hunt monsters. Ryan's weapons were hidden, away, only to be used if something went very wrong. He was a big man with kind eyes who preferred talking to fighting. Lucy sat in the main room of the ship, coloring in her electronic drawing pad. She had drawn a picture of the Vorthak, but in her drawing the creature was not scary. Instead, it was sitting next to a little girl and wagging its tail like a happy dog. Jake looked at the picture and smiled. "Are you sure about bringing her?" Ryan asked quietly. "This could be very dangerous." Jake watched his daughter coloring. "I've been thinking about what she said. Every report we have shows the Vorthak attacking when ships get too close. But what if it's not trying to hunt? What if it's just trying to protect itself?" Maria finished her engine checks and joined them. "The kid might be right. I've been reading the attack reports. The Vorthak never chases ships that fly away. It only attacks when they get close to its territory." Dr. Peter looked up from his equipment. "That matches animal behavior patterns from Earth. Wounded or scared animals often attack anything that comes near their safe space." Jake made his decision. "Lucy comes with us, but we do this carefully and safely." The Aurora left New Geneva, station an hour later. The trip to the Kepler asteroid field would take 2 days. Jake used this time to study everything they knew about Vorthaks. Most of the information came from failed experiments and military reports. The creatures were smart, maybe as smart as humans. They had good memories and could learn quickly. They lived for hundreds of years and usually stayed with the same family group their whole lives. "Look at this," Dr. Peter said, showing Jake an old research file. "This report is from 50 years ago. A young Vorthak was separated from its family. During a Corvan military raid, the scientists tried to raise it in captivity. For the first few months, the creature was calm and friendly. It even played games with the researchers." Jake read the report. What happened? The military took over the project. They wanted to train the Vorthak to fight. They used electric shocks and kept it in a small cage. Within a week, the creature became violent and aggressive. It eventually broke free and killed 3 soldiers before escaping into space. Maria looked at the report over Jake's shoulder. "So they turned a friendly animal into a monster by treating it badly." "It gets worse," Peter continued. "Every Vorthak in captivity has the same story. They start out curious and social, but the moment someone tries to control them with force or technology, they become hostile." Lucy was listening to their conversation. "That's because nobody likes being hurt or trapped," she said simply. "Even my hamster bites when I try to grab him too fast." The crew spent the rest of the trip learning everything they could about Vorthaks. They discovered that the creatures were not just smart animals. They had their own language, their own culture, and their own way of looking at the world. They lived in family groups and took care of their young for many years. They were loyal to their friends and would fight to protect them. On the second day, the Aurora reached the edge of the asteroid field. Maria flew the ship slowly and carefully between the floating rocks. The asteroids were different sizes, from small pebbles to chunks as big as cities. Some were made of metal. Others were ice or stone. It was a perfect place for something to hide. "There," Ryan pointed to his scanner. "I'm picking up energy readings from that big asteroid over there." Jake looked through the ship's telescope. The asteroid was about a mile wide and shaped like an egg. There were caves and tunnels all through it. It would make a good home for a large creature that wanted to stay hidden. "I'm also detecting the remains of several ships," Maria added. "Looks like cargo containers and engine parts scattered around the asteroid." Dr. Peter studied his instruments. "The life sign readings are interesting. The creature is definitely there, but its heart rate and breathing are normal. It's not excited or angry right now." Jake thought about this. "So it's calm when nobody is bothering it." "Dad, look!" Lucy pointed out the window. Far in the distance, they could see movement near the asteroid. Something big and dark was floating between the rocks. Jake used the telescope to get a better look. The Vorthak was even bigger than the pictures had shown. Its body was covered in thick, dark fur with patches of natural armor. Its legs were powerful, built for running and jumping. Even in zero gravity, it moved with incredible grace and control. But Lucy was right about one thing. The creature did look sad. Its head was down, and it moved slowly, like it had no energy. It was not hunting or prowling. It was just floating alone among the asteroids. "It looks lonely," Lucy said quietly. Jake made a decision. "Maria, take us closer, but move very slowly. Ryan, keep all weapons powered down. Peter, start recording everything. I want to document how the creature reacts to our approach." The Aurora moved toward the asteroid field at a crawl. Jake watched the Vorthak carefully through the telescope. When their ship was still half a mile away, the creature noticed them. Its head came up and its body tensed. But it did not attack. Instead, it moved behind a large asteroid, watching them from a distance. "Interesting," Dr. Peter said. "It's being cautious but not aggressive." They got closer. The Vorthak moved, further back, always keeping rocks between itself and their ship. It was clearly intelligent enough to use the asteroids as cover. "It's not running away," Maria noticed. "It's just trying to keep some distance between us." Jake had an idea. "Stop the ship here, let's not get any closer. Instead, let's show it that we're not a threat." Maria stopped the Aurora about a quarter-mile from the main asteroid. Jake turned on the ship's external lights, making sure the Vorthak could see them clearly. Then he did something that no other species had ever tried. He waited. For 2 hours, the Aurora just floated in space. The crew watched the Vorthak, and the Vorthak watched them. Nobody moved. Nobody attacked. Nobody tried to capture or control anything. Slowly, the creature began to relax. It came out from behind the asteroid and floated closer to its home. It still watched their ship, but its body language was less tense. "Dad," Lucy said, "I think he's getting used to us." Jake smiled. "I think you're right. Peter, are you getting good readings on the creature's behavior?" Dr. Peter nodded. "This is amazing. Look at these stress hormone levels. They've dropped by 70% in the last hour. The creature is actually calming down." "So the secret is patience," Ryan said. "Not just patience," Jake replied, watching the Vorthak through the telescope. "Respect. We're treating it like an intelligent being, not a monster to be captured." As the day ended, the Vorthak settled onto its asteroid home. It curled up in a cave entrance, but kept watching their ship. Jake could see that the creature was tired and wary, but no longer afraid. "Tomorrow," Jake told his crew, "we try something that no one else has attempted." "What's that?" Maria asked. Jake looked at his daughter, who was drawing another picture of the Vorthak. In this one, the creature was smiling. "Tomorrow we try to make a friend." Jake woke up early the next morning and looked out the window of the Aurora. The Vorthak was already awake, sitting at the entrance of its cave. The creature was watching their ship, but it seemed more curious than afraid now. During the night, it had moved a little closer to where they were floating. "Good morning, Dad," Lucy said as she walked into the main room. She was carrying her stuffed dog and wearing her favorite pink shirt with a picture of Earth's moon on it. "Morning, sweetheart. Did you sleep well?" Lucy nodded and pressed her face against the window. "Is that him? He's really big." Jake looked at the Vorthak through the telescope. In the morning light, he could see the creature more clearly. Its dark fur had silver streaks running through it. Its eyes were not the angry red that showed in the military photos. Instead, they were a deep, golden color, almost like honey. "Doctor," Peter joined them at the window. "I've been studying the readings from last night. The creature's behavior patterns are fascinating. It spent most of the night watching us, but its stress levels stayed low. I think it has decided we are not a threat." Maria walked over from the pilot's chair. "I've been monitoring communications. The Galactic Council is getting nervous. They want to know why we haven't tried to capture the Vorthak yet." Jake frowned. "Tell them we're making progress. We need more time." Ryan came out of the security room carrying a small backpack. "I've been thinking about what we discussed yesterday. If we're going to make contact, someone needs to leave the ship." "Absolutely not," Jake said quickly. "It's too dangerous." "Dad," Lucy said quietly, "I think I should go." Everyone turned to look at her. Jake felt his heart start beating faster. "Lucy, no. That creature could hurt you." Lucy looked at the Vorthak through the window. "But he's not mean, Dad. He's just lonely and scared." like thunder was when he got lost. Dr. Peter knelt down next to Lucy. Sweetie, this isn't like thunder. This creature is much bigger and stronger than any animal on Earth. I know, Lucy said, but big doesn't always mean dangerous. Remember the elephant at the zoo? She was huge, but she was gentle. Jake was about to say no again when he noticed something. The Vorthak had moved even closer to their ship. It was now floating only about 100 yards away, watching them through the window. Look, Maria pointed. It's trying to see us better. The creature was indeed moving its head, trying to get a clear view into their ship. When it saw Lucy at the window, it tilted its head to one side, the same way a curious dog might. Ryan checked his scanner. Its heart rate just went up, but not in an aggressive way, more like it's interested in something. Dr. Peter was studying his instruments. This is remarkable. The creature is showing classic signs of curiosity, not hostility. Jake looked at his daughter. Lucy was waving at the Vorthak through the window. The creature watched her small movements with obvious interest. Dad, please, Lucy said. I know I can help him. Animals always like me. Jake remembered all the times Lucy had helped injured birds, calmed nervous cats, and even made friends with the grumpy old horse at the farm where they used to live. She had a gift with animals that he didn't fully understand. If we do this, Jake said slowly, we do it very carefully and I go with you. Lucy shook her head. No, Dad. You're too big. You might scare him. And Dr. Peter said that all the other people who tried to catch him were adults with scary equipment. Maria was looking at the communication screen. Jake, I'm getting calls from 3 different council members. They want us to use the capture nets they sent. Jake looked at the storage room where the council's equipment was kept. There were electric nets, stun weapons, and a large metal cage. All the tools that other species had tried to use. What if we try a completely different approach? He said finally. What do you mean? Ryan asked. Jake made a decision that would change everything. What if we don't try to capture it at all? What if we just try to talk to it? Dr. Peter looked confused. Jake, we don't speak Vorthak language. But we speak kindness, Lucy said, and that's the same in every language. Jake looked out at the creature again. The Vorthak was still watching them, still curious. It had every reason to attack their ship, but instead it was trying to understand them. All right, Jake said. But we do this my way. Lucy, you'll wear a spacesuit with a safety line attached to the ship. At the first sign of danger, we pull you back. Lucy clapped her hands together. Can I bring some food for him? What kind of food? Maria asked. Dr. Peter checked his files. Vorthaks are omnivores. They eat both plants and meat. But I have no idea what they like. Lucy thought for a moment. I'll bring a peanut butter sandwich. Everyone likes peanut butter. Jake couldn't help but smile. His daughter wanted to make first contact with a dangerous alien creature by offering it a peanut butter sandwich. An hour later, Lucy was ready. She wore a small spacesuit that had been made specially for children. The helmet had extra light so everyone could see her face. A strong cable connected her to the Aurora, and Ryan could pull her back to safety in seconds if needed. Remember, Jake said over the radio, stay calm and move slowly. If the creature seems angry or scared, come back immediately. I will, Dad. Lucy's voice came through clearly. She was also carrying a small bag with her lunch and her father's old baseball. The airlock opened, and Lucy floated out into space. Jake watched through the telescope as his daughter moved slowly toward the asteroid where the Vorthak was waiting. The creature saw her coming and stood up. It was even more impressive up close, standing 12 feet tall with powerful muscles under its thick fur. Its claws gleamed in the starlight and its teeth were visible when it opened its mouth. But the Vorthak did not attack. Instead, it watched Lucy with the same curious expression it had shown through the ship's window. Lucy stopped about 50 feet away from the creature. She floated there peacefully, not trying to get closer. Then she did something that amazed everyone watching. She sat down. Of course, sitting in zero gravity was not the same as sitting on the ground, but Lucy crossed her legs and floated in a relaxed position, making herself look as small and non-threatening as possible. The Vorthak tilted its head again, clearly puzzled by this tiny visitor who showed no fear. Lucy opened her bag and took out her sandwich. She unwrapped it slowly and took a bite, acting like she was having a normal picnic instead of making first contact with an alien creature. "What is she doing?" Ryan asked over the radio. "Being herself," Jake replied, his heart full of pride and worry. Lucy began talking to the Vorthak in the same voice she used with pets back home. Even over the radio, Jake could hear that she was telling the creature about her family, her school, and her favorite games. The Vorthak moved closer, not in a threatening way, but like an animal that was interested in what was happening. It settled down into a lying position, bringing its massive head closer to Lucy's level. "Dad," Lucy said over the radio, "I think he wants to be friends." Then, something magical happened. Lucy accidentally dropped her sandwich while reaching for her baseball. As she reached out to catch it, she said the same word she had used hundreds of times with Thunder back home. "Sit." The word was spoken in the same gentle, patient tone she always used with animals. There was no command in it, no demand for obedience. It was just a simple request from one friend to another. The Vorthak sat down. Jake stared through the telescope, unable to believe what he was seeing. The creature that had destroyed 17 ships and killed dozens of people was sitting quietly in space, watching an 8-year-old girl eat her lunch. "Did that just happen?" Maria whispered. Dr. Peter was recording everything. The creature is responding to vocal tone and body language. Lucy's approach is completely non-threatening. Lucy finished her sandwich and pulled out the baseball. She held it up so the Vorthak could see it, then gently tossed it toward the creature. The Vorthak caught the ball in one massive paw. It looked at the ball, then at Lucy, then back at the ball. After a moment, it tossed the ball back to her. Lucy giggled over the radio. "He wants to play catch." For the next hour, Jake watched his daughter play a simple game of catch with the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. The Vorthak was gentle with the ball, careful not to throw it too hard. When Lucy missed a catch, the creature waited patiently for her to retrieve the ball from where it floated in space. "Jake," Dr. Peter said quietly, "I think your daughter just solved a problem that has puzzled the galaxy for centuries." Jake nodded, watching Lucy and the Vorthak play together like old friends. She didn't try to tame him or control him. She just treated him like a person who needed a friend, Maria added. As the play session ended, Lucy waved goodbye to the Vorthak. The creature lifted one massive paw and waved back, copying her gesture. "See you tomorrow," Lucy called out as Ryan pulled her back to the ship. The Vorthak watched her go, then settled back down at the entrance to its cave. But now it looked different. The sadness in its posture was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like hope. Jake hugged his daughter as she came back through the airlock. "You did something amazing today, Lucy." Lucy smiled up at her father. "I made a new friend. His name is Buddy." Jake looked back at the creature through the window. Buddy was still watching their ship, but now it seemed like he was waiting for something good to happen instead of preparing for something bad. 3 days after Lucy first played catch with Buddy, everything changed. Jake woke up to find dozens of ships surrounding the asteroid field. The communication board was flashing with incoming messages from all over the galaxy. "Jake, you need to see this," Maria called from the pilot's chair. She pointed out the window at the growing fleet of alien vessels. The ships came from every major species in the galaxy. There were sleek Zephyrian research vessels with their blue and silver hulls. The Corvan Empire had sent 3 massive warships that looked like flying fortresses. The Crystalline Collective arrived in ships that sparkled like jewels in the starlight. Even species that Jake had never seen before were showing up to watch. "How many ships are out there now?" Ryan asked, checking his security scanners. 47 and counting, Maria replied. "And more are arriving every hour." Dr. Peter was reading messages on his computer. "Jake, the news has spread across the entire galaxy. Every major news service is calling this the biggest discovery in 1,000 years. Jake looked out at Buddy's asteroid. The Vorthak was sitting at the entrance to his cave, watching all the ships with obvious nervousness. His golden eyes moved from one vessel to another, and his body was tense. "He's scared again," Lucy said sadly. She had been playing with Buddy every day, bringing him new toys and teaching him simple games. Yesterday she had even taught him how to give a high five with his massive paw. The radio crackled with an incoming message. Ambassador Helen Martinez appeared on the screen, but she was not alone. Behind her stood Commander Zix, General Korth, and Elder Nim, along with several other alien officials that Jake didn't recognize. "Captain Sullivan," Helen began, "congratulations on your success. The entire galaxy is amazed by what your daughter has accomplished." General Korth stepped forward. "We must study this immediately. My scientists need to understand how the human child controlled the Vorthak so easily." Jake felt his anger rising. She didn't control him. She became his friend. "The method doesn't matter," said a new voice. A tall alien with green skin and 4 arms moved into view. "I am Dr. Vex from the Science Academy. We need to bring both the child and the creature to our research station for proper study." Lucy moved closer to her father. "Dad, I don't want to leave Buddy. He'll be scared without me." Elder Nim's crystal body glowed bright blue. "The creature must be secured properly. Our telepaths need to examine its mental state to understand how the human technique works." "No," Jake said firmly. "We're not turning Buddy into a lab experiment." Commander Zix looked confused. "But Captain, think of what we could learn. If we understand how humans tame Vorthaks, we could solve conflicts that have lasted for centuries, Dr. Mo." Peter stepped forward. "You're missing the point. Lucy didn't use a technique or a method. She treated Buddy with kindness and respect. You can't study that in a laboratory." The screen filled with more alien faces as other species joined the conversation. A reptilian creature with yellow eyes spoke first. "The Vorthak is too dangerous to leave free. It must be contained." Another, alien, this one covered in blue scales, agreed. "My people demand that the creature be brought to justice for the ships it destroyed." Jake watched Buddy through the window. The Vorthak was moving back into his cave, trying to hide from all the attention. "Lucy, can you see how upset Buddy is getting?" Lucy nodded. "All these ships are making him nervous. He doesn't like crowds." Jake made a decision. "Helen, we need to clear these ships out of here. Buddy is getting scared, and scared Vorthaks are dangerous." General Korth laughed. "The creature is no longer a threat. Your daughter has tamed it completely." "That's where you're wrong," Jake replied. "Lucy hasn't tamed him. She's earned his trust, and trust can be broken." As if to prove Jake's point, alarms started going off on several of the alien ships. Buddy had emerged from his cave and was floating toward the nearest Corvin warship. His body language was completely different now. His claws were extended and his eyes were glowing red with anger. "All ships, move back immediately," Jake called over the radio. "You're making him feel threatened." But it was too late. The Corvin warship powered up its weapons, thinking the Vorthak was about to attack. The bright lights from the weapon systems made Buddy even more angry. He roared, and the sound was so loud that it could be heard through the vacuum of space. "Dad, I need to go to him," Lucy said urgently. "It's too dangerous," Ryan replied. "Look at him. He's in full attack mode." Lucy was already putting on her spacesuit. "He's not angry at me. He's angry at them. Buddy knows I'm his friend." Jake wanted to stop her, but he could see that Buddy was getting ready to attack the Corvin ship. If that happened, the other ships would start shooting and everything would fall apart. "All right, but I'm coming with you," Jake said, reaching for his own spacesuit. "No, Dad. You'll just make him more nervous, trust me." Lucy was right, and Jake knew it. She had spent days building a relationship with Buddy. She was the only person the Vorthak trusted. Lucy floated out of the Aurora and moved slowly toward Buddy. The massive creature saw her coming and stopped moving toward the warship. His angry roar became a softer sound, almost like a whimper. "It's okay, Buddy," Lucy said over the radio. "I know you're scared. All these ships showed up without asking permission." Buddy moved toward Lucy, his red eyes fading back to their normal golden color. When he reached her, he gently touched her helmet with one massive claw, being very careful not to hurt her. Lucy patted his paw. I know, they're being rude, but you can't attack them, okay? That will just make things worse. The entire galaxy watched as an 8-year-old girl calmed down the most dangerous creature anyone had ever seen. Buddy's aggressive posture relaxed, and he moved back toward his asteroid home. But the damage was already done. Dr. Vex was talking excitedly on his ship. Did you see that? The creature responds instantly to the child's voice. We must understand how this connection works. General Korth was equally excited. Imagine if we could train our soldiers to control Vorthax the same way. We could build an army that no one could defeat. Elder Neem was glowing brighter. Our telepaths could use this knowledge to communicate with other dangerous species. Jake felt sick to his stomach. Everyone was still thinking about using Buddy as a weapon or a tool. They didn't understand that Lucy's success came from treating him as a friend, not a thing to be controlled. Lucy, come back to the ship, Jake called over the radio. As Lucy returned to the Aurora, more ships kept arriving. Jake counted over 60 vessels now, and he could see more coming in the distance. Representatives from species he had never heard of were demanding to see the tamed Vorthak. This is getting out of hand, Maria said. Pretty soon there will be hundreds of ships here. Dr. Peter was reading the incoming messages. Jake, they're making demands. The Science Academy wants to take Buddy to their research station. The Military Council wants to use him for weapons testing. 3 different governments are claiming ownership of him. Jake looked out at Buddy, who was hiding in his cave again. The creature that had been happy and playful just a few days ago was now scared and confused by all the attention. Dad, Lucy said quietly, we have to protect Buddy. All these people want to hurt him. Jake put his arm around his daughter. I know, sweetheart, but I'm not sure how we can stop them. Ryan was monitoring the alien communications. Jake, some of these ships are carrying capture equipment. I think they're planning to take Buddy whether we agree or not. The radio crackled again. This time it was Ambassador Helen, and she looked worried. Jake, the Galactic Council is meeting in emergency session. They're going to make a decision about the Vorthak within the next few hours. What kind of decision? Jake asked. They're arguing about who gets custody of the creature. Every major power wants to study it. Some want to use it for military purposes. Others want to put it in a zoo. Lucy started crying. They can't do that. To Buddy. He's not a thing. He's my friend. Jake held his daughter close and made a promise. Don't worry, Lucy. We won't let them hurt Buddy. But as Jake looked out at the growing fleet of ships, he wondered how he could possibly keep that promise. The most powerful forces in the galaxy wanted Buddy, and they were prepared to take him by force if necessary. Maria, Jake said quietly, start preparing the Aurora for emergency departure. Where are we going? She asked. Jake looked at Buddy's asteroid, then at his daughter's tear-filled eyes. I don't know yet, but we're not leaving Buddy here to become someone's prisoner. Outside, more ships continued to arrive, and Jake knew that time was running out. Soon he would have to make the most important decision of his life, and that decision would determine whether Buddy remained free or became the galaxy's most valuable captive. Jake watched the alien fleet grow larger by the hour. There were now over 100 ships surrounding Buddy's asteroid home. Some carried scientists with cages and control devices. Others brought soldiers with weapons and chains. A few had diplomats who wanted to negotiate for ownership of the Vorthak. Dad, we have to do something, Lucy said, looking out at Buddy's cave. The Vorthak had not come out for hours. He was hiding from all the ships and people who wanted to take him away. I'm working on it, Jake replied, but he wasn't sure what he could do. The Aurora was just one small ship against an entire fleet. Dr. Peter was reading messages from the Galactic Council. The decision is final, Jake. They voted to transfer the Vorthak to a joint research facility. Ships from 3 different species are preparing to move in and capture him. When? Jake asked. In 2 hours. Peter replied sadly. Lucy started crying again. Buddy will think I betrayed him. He'll think I brought all these mean people to hurt him. Jake knelt down next to his daughter. Lucy, I need you to do something very important. Can you be brave for me? Lucy wiped her eyes. What do you need me to do? I need you to go talk to Buddy one more time. But this time, You need to ask him to come with us. Ryan looked confused. Come with us where? Jake stood up and walked to the communication panel. Helen, are you there? Ambassador Martinez appeared on the screen. Behind her, Jake could see aliens arguing loudly about something. Jake, thank goodness. The council is demanding that you turn over the Vorthak immediately. I have a different idea, Jake said. What if Buddy doesn't want to be captured? General Korth pushed into view. The creature's wants are not important. It must be secured for the safety of the galaxy. But what if there's a better way? Jake asked. What if instead of capturing Buddy, we ask him to help us? Commander Zix looked interested. What do you mean? Jake took a deep breath. Lucy has shown that Vorthaks can be friends with humans. Instead of making Buddy a prisoner, what if he becomes an ambassador? He could help us understand other Vorthaks. He could prevent future conflicts. Dr. Vex from the Science Academy laughed. Ridiculous. The creature is an animal. It cannot serve as an ambassador. You're wrong, Lucy said, stepping up to the communication panel. Buddy is very smart. He's learned to play games, follow directions, and even say hello in sign language. He's not an animal. He's a person. Elder Nim's crystal body glowed thoughtfully. The child makes an interesting point. Our telepaths have detected high intelligence in the creature. Jake saw his chance. Here's what I propose. Let Buddy choose for himself. If he wants to go to your research station, then he can go freely. But if he wants to stay with Lucy and help build peace between humans and Vorthaks, then you should respect that choice. General Korth growled. The creature cannot make such decisions. It is too dangerous to leave free. Then let's prove he's not dangerous, Jake said. Lucy, are you ready? Lucy nodded and put on her spacesuit. This time, Jake joined her. Together they floated out toward Buddy's asteroid. The entire galaxy watched as father and daughter approached the cave where Buddy was hiding. The Vorthak came out slowly, his golden eyes moving nervously between all the ships surrounding his home. Hi, Buddy, Lucy said gently. I know you're scared. All these people want to take you away from here. Buddy moved closer to Lucy and made a soft whimpering sound. He touched her helmet carefully with one claw, the same greeting they had developed over the past few days. But I have an idea, Lucy continued. What if you came with me and Dad instead? We could travel to different planets and help other Vorthaks make friends with other people. Jake was amazed at how well Lucy explained the situation. She talked to Buddy like he was a person who could understand and make his own choices. Buddy listened carefully to everything Lucy said. Then he did something that surprised everyone watching. He pointed at himself, then at Lucy, then at the Aurora. He was asking if he could come with them. Yes, Lucy said excitedly. You can come with us. We'll be a team. The communication channels exploded with angry voices. General Korth was shouting that the creature belonged to the military. Dr. Vex was demanding that Buddy be brought to his laboratory. Representatives from dozens of species were arguing about who had the right to own the Vorthak. But Jake had an idea that would change everything. Attention all ships, he broadcast on the main communication channel. I want everyone to see something important. Jake turned to Buddy and spoke clearly. Buddy, all these people want to take you away from Lucy. They want to put you in cages and make you do things you don't want to do. Do you want to go with them? Buddy looked at all the ships surrounding his home. Then he shook his massive head. From side to side, it was clear that he was saying no. Do you want to come with Lucy and help make peace between your people and other people? Jake asked. Buddy nodded his head up and down. Then he did something even more amazing. He pointed at Lucy, then at himself, then made a gesture that looked like shaking hands. He was saying that he wanted to be partners with her. The alien fleet fell silent. Every species in the galaxy had just watched a Vorthak make a clear, intelligent choice about his own future. Elder Nim was the first to speak. The creature has demonstrated clear decision-making ability. According to galactic law, any intelligent being has the right to choose its own path. General Korth argued loudly, but other voices joined Elder Nim. Commander Zix agreed that Buddy had shown intelligence and should have the right to choose. Even some of the military leaders admitted that forcing an unwilling Vorthak into captivity would probably end badly. Dr. Peter had been recording everything. "This is incredible, Jake. Buddy just became the first Vorthak to be recognized as an intelligent being with rights under galactic law." But the real surprise came when Buddy did something that no one expected. He floated over to the nearest Corvan warship and gently tapped on its hull. When the ship opened a communication channel, Buddy made a series of sounds that Dr. Peter's translation computer recognized as actual language. "He's speaking," Dr. Peter said in amazement. "Buddy is trying to communicate with the other ships." The translation came through a moment later. Buddy was saying that he wanted to help prevent other Vorthaks from being hurt or captured. He wanted to teach other species how to be friends instead of enemies. General Korth was speechless. Dr. Vex stared in shock. Even the most skeptical aliens had to admit that Buddy was not just an intelligent animal, but a person with his own thoughts and goals. Ambassador Helen smiled on the communication screen. "Captain Sullivan, I think you've just changed the course of galactic history. Over the next few hours, everything changed. The Galactic Council held an emergency vote and officially recognized Buddy as the first Vorthak ambassador. Instead of being captured and studied, he would work with Lucy and other humans to build better relationships between species. Lucy became the youngest diplomatic advisor in galactic history, though she preferred to call herself Buddy's friend and translator. Together they would visit planets where Vorthaks and other species had conflicts, showing everyone that friendship was possible. The alien fleet began to leave, but now they carried a different message. Instead of stories about capturing monsters, they would tell everyone about the human child who made friends with a creature that everyone else feared. Jake watched Lucy and Buddy play catch one more time before they all boarded the Aurora for their first diplomatic mission. The Vorthak had packed a few belongings from his cave, including some shiny rocks that he seemed to treasure. "Are you ready for this?" Jake asked his daughter as the Aurora prepared to leave. Lucy looked at Buddy, who was carefully holding her stuffed dog and trying not to crush it with his massive claws. "Dad, I think this is going to be the best adventure ever." As the Aurora flew away from the asteroid field, Jake thought about how much things had changed. A week ago, the galaxy's most feared creature was destroying ships and terrifying everyone. Now that same creature was heading off to help build peace between worlds. Lucy had taught the galaxy an important lesson. Sometimes the biggest problems have the simplest solutions. Sometimes all you need is kindness, patience, and the willingness to treat others as friends instead of enemies. And sometimes all it takes is one little girl who knows that every creature, no matter how big or scary, just wants someone to care about them. Buddy settled into his new home on the Aurora, careful not to break anything with his size. As they traveled through space toward their first mission, he and Lucy continued playing their games and learning each other's languages. The galaxy was about to discover that humans had a very special gift. They could make friends with anyone, anywhere, no matter how different they seemed, and that gift would change everything.